Captain Scott O'Grady was leading a mission over Bosnia. He was the flight captain of two F-16s that morning, and they were there on a NATO mission. There had been a no-fly zone that had been set over Bosnia because of some other things that were going on in the region. And it was a pretty normal morning until it wasn't. You see, one of the things the Bosnians had been doing was they were trying to, of course, shoot down anything that they could so that, they were trying to get rid of the no-fly zone. And that morning, they had moved some SAMs, surface-to-air missiles. Now, they knew that if they turned the radars on those surface-to-air missiles on, that the Americans would be able to see them and be able to attack them, so they did something pretty sneaky. They left those radars off. And using basically the fact that they could hear the jets coming, they waited and they waited and they waited till they got right overhead, and they flipped the radars on and punched the button. 2 surface-to-air missiles about the size of telephone poles started climbing skyward. The first one went off between Captain O'Grady and his wingman. Didn't hurt either jet, but the second one found its mark. It hit literally right behind the cockpit and split his airplane in half. Went down in a ball of flames. He was presumed to be lost. And for the next 6 days, Captain Grady, who was not lost, in fact, he was very much alive, basically lived off of rainwater and bugs as he was trying to avoid capture. With him, one of the things that he had was a rescue radio. But the problem is, if he turned it on and left it on, the other side could hear it too. So he would turn it on and send a broadcast, see if anyone was listening, and turn it off. This went on for 6 days and 6 nights. Well, 5 days, 6 days and 5 nights. On the last night, he flipped the radio on, sent a message, and he heard a staticky voice come back across that radio. It was another NATO F-16. He gave them their location. And now this is behind enemy lines, remember. This is in hostile territory, but they figured out that he was alive. And within 4 hours of sending that message, Captain Scott O'Grady was back on friendly soil. Now, that's cool enough in and of itself. But what makes this rescue attempt even cooler was that, if you got somebody down behind enemy lines, you kind of have to weigh the pros versus the cons, right? You got to count the cost. This is one man. How much are we willing to risk to go rescue one man? Well, for the leaders of that mission, it didn't matter what it cost, because they wound up sending 40 different aircraft. Here's a picture of all the pilots and other people who were involved in the rescue mission. They sent 40 aircraft and all these men to go get one man. One man. And within 4 hours of that radio transmission, guess what? They got him. Brought him back. You think about how much time and effort and just money, how much jet fuel did they burn? What was the cost to go and rescue just one? Didn't matter what it cost. He was theirs and they were going to go get him. And you think about that. The price to rescue just one. As cool a story as this is, and as high a cost as the U.S. military paid to get him back, it's nothing in comparison to what God will do for just one. If you got your Bibles with me this morning, I want you to put a bookmark in 2 Peter. We're going to start and end in 2 Peter, and we're going to go look somewhere else. But 2 Peter chapter 2, beginning in verse 4. For God did not spare angels when they sinned, but cast them into hell and committed them to chains of gloomy darkness to be kept until the judgment. If he did not spare the ancient world, but preserved Noah, a herald of righteousness, with 7 others, when he brought the flood upon the world of the ungodly, if by turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah to ashes, he condemned them to extinction, making them an example of what is going to happen to the ungodly, if he rescued righteous Lot, greatly distressed by the sensual conduct of the wicked, for as that righteous man lived among them day after day, he was tormenting his righteous soul over the lawless deeds that he saw and heard. Then the Lord knows how to rescue the godly from trials and to keep the unrighteous under the punishment until the day of judgment. God rescued 8 with the ark. But this morning we want to look at Lot. God sent an entire rescue mission to rescue just basically Lot and what would wind up being his 2 daughters. And from that rescue mission this morning, we want to draw out some points to show what it is God will do for just one person, just one soul. He was willing to do it for Lot, and shocker, let me get my cart completely in front of my horse and tell you that God will do it for us as well. Same God that we have today. So that being said, go to Genesis 18. Now this is where we're going to spend the majority of our time this morning. Like I say, you can hold your bookmark back at 2 Peter. Genesis 18, we have an angel coming to Abraham and Sarah. And this is the angel telling them that, guess what? You're going to have a boy. You're going to have a son. And Sarah goes, bet. She laughed about it. But guess what? God was right. And in the midst of all this, almost would seem that it's tacked on the end, but while the angels were there to tell Sarah and Abraham, hey, guess what? You're going to have a boy. The next thing on their to-do list for the day was to go destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. You know, while you're down there, you just kill 2 birds with 1 stone, right? But as we begin here in verse 17, I want you to notice something initially. And the Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham what I'm about to do? Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I have chosen him that he may command his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing righteousness and justice, so that the Lord may bring Abraham what he has promised him. You look at this, and God didn't have to tell Abraham what he was about to do. Why did he tell him, hey, we're about to go destroy Sodom and Gomorrah? I mean, that's operational intel that Abraham didn't really have to have. But you notice that God has always been willing. God has always been willing to tell an individual the truth. Why do you have one of these? Why do you have it on your phone? Why can you go to any one of hundreds of websites and read this word? Because God has always been willing to tell the truth to just one. Now, a great number won't read it. A great number won't listen. But that doesn't mean God's not willing to tell them the truth. God has always been willing to share the truth with just one, to tell them what they needed to know to obey him. Think about the time of the patriarchs. God spoke to the fathers, the head of the households, and told them what they needed to do. You look at Job, and you see Job is acting as a priest for his family. Where did he get that? He got it from God. This time here with Abraham, did he not just tell him you're going to have a son, and through that son the whole entire world is going to be blessed? He told him the truth. And he told him through here as well. You think about rescuing just one. Does it not start here? In John 6, we looked at that before, and when Jesus looks at the crowd and the crowd's walking away, and he turns around to his other 12 and says, do you want to leave also? Where are we going to go? Because you're the only one that will tell us the truth. For you have the words of life. God's always been willing to tell just one the truth. But now, we go on here a little further, and this is this famous scene with Abraham and God, and I almost envision an auction, right, going on. Like, I hate going to an auction. You feel like you got to scratch your nose and you're going to buy something before you realize that you've done it. But look at what Abraham says. Then Abraham drew near and said, will you indeed sweep away the righteous with the wicked? Suppose there are 50 righteous within the city. Will you then sweep away and not spare it for 50 righteous who are in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to put the righteous to death with the wicked, so that the righteous fare as the wicked. Far be it from you. Shall not the judge of all the earth do what is just? And the Lord said, if I find in Sodom 50 righteous in the city, I will spare the whole place for their sake. And Abraham answered and said, behold, I have undertaken to speak to the Lord, I who am dust and ashes, but suppose 5 of the 50 righteous are lacking. Will you destroy the whole city for lack of 5? And he said, I'll not destroy it if I find 45 there. Again, he spoke to him and said, suppose 40 are found there. What if there's 5 more missing, right? For the sake of 40, I will not do it. Then he said, oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak. Suppose 30 are found there. And he answered, I will not do it if I find 30 there. And he said, behold, I have undertaken to speak to the Lord. Suppose 20 are found there. And he answered, for the sake of 20, I will not destroy it. And then he said, oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak again. But this one, suppose 10 are found there. He answered, for the sake of 10, I will not destroy it. And the Lord went on his way. And when he had finished speaking to Abraham, and Abraham returned to his place. Who'll give me $5? Like, how many would it take for the Lord not to destroy that place? You look at this, and it seems like a negotiation. God tells him, I'm going to go destroy that place. Now, hang on a minute. Wait a minute. But I want you to understand, the value that God assigns to just one soul is not negotiable. A shepherd has 100 sheep, and one of them goes astray. Does not the good shepherd go and leave the 99 in the wilderness and go seek after the one who has went astray? It's kind of interesting, you know, Abraham's kind of like, he thinks he's pretty slick, right? I don't know how big that town is, but there's a bunch of people there, and he picks what he thinks is a low number, 50. But then he has a thought, oh no, what if there's 5 missing? What if there's another 5 missing? What if there's another 10 missing? And what Abraham doesn't realize is God values just one. What's the Bible tell us? What will man give in exchange for a soul? For you've gained the whole world, you can't give your soul in exchange. One soul is worth more than the entire rest of this physical ball that we're floating around in outer space in right now. And you can't negotiate God out of that. You go look at Hebrews 11, and there's all these people that God rescued. And then you get down around verse 37, and there's all these people that even God didn't rescue. And he says the world was not worthy of them. God valued them, whether he rescued them physically or not. God's value for one is non-negotiable. But we'll go a little further. You know, kind of makes me think about Noah and that ark. And you think Noah preached for 120 years and he didn't get anybody on the boat. Well, he got his family on the boat. We read that in 2 Peter, right? That 8 people got saved that day. 8 people. Getting your family on the boat, you know, may not seem like much, but I'm going to tell you what, getting your family to do anything What y'all want for supper tonight? Right? That's hard. Lot's going to see this. Genesis 19, beginning verse 12. Then the men said to Lot, have you anyone else here, sons-in-law, sons, daughters, anyone that you have in the city? Bring them out this place, for we're about to destroy this place because the outcry against the people has become great before the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it. So Lot went out and said to his sons-in-law, go, who were to marry his daughters, up, get out of this place, for the Lord is about to destroy the city. But seemed to his son-in-laws to be jesting. You see, God came to this evil, wicked place for Lot. Peter called him righteous Lot. He come for just one, but you know what? God has always wanted more. What's 2 Peter 3:9 say? The Lord is not slack, as some count slackness, but is long-suffering, willing that what? That all should come to repentance. God will do amazing things for just one, but he wants more than just that one. You think about Jesus casting the demon out of the man who lived in the tombs, and he wanted to follow Jesus, and Jesus wouldn't let him come with him. He said, what? I want you to go home and tell everyone at home what the Lord has done for you. He saved the one, but he wants more than that. He'll save the one, but he wants everyone. Now we understand not everybody's going to come. Not everybody's going to accept the help. Not everybody's going to take it. I wish it wasn't that way, but it is. But if he's willing to do all these things, even for the ones that will reject him, what should we do? If we're going to wear the name Christ, if we're going to wear the name Christian, I-A-N, having the characteristics and the attributes of Christ. Jesus went up and looked out over that city and literally wept, oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, how many times would I have gathered you together as a chick would have gathered together, or a hen gathered together as chicks, but you would not. God came for one, but he wants more. Now here's the next part. Here's the part where if I was God, I would get frustrated. You ever get frustrated? Just, that's not our God. Verse 15. As morning dawned, the angels urged Lot, saying, up, hello, get out, up, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are there, lest you be swept away in the punishment of the city. But he lingered. So the men seized him and his wife and his 2 daughters by the hand, the Lord being merciful to him, and they brought him out and set him outside the city. And as they brought them out, one said, escape for your life, do not look back or stop anywhere in the valley, escape to the hills, lest you be swept away. And Lot said to them, oh no, my lords, behold, your servant has found favor in your sight, and you have shown me great kindness in saving my life, but I cannot escape to the hills, lest the disaster overtake me and I die. Behold, this city is near enough to flee to, and it is a little one. Let me escape there. Is it not a little one, and my life will be saved? And he said to him, behold, I grant you this favor also, that I will not overthrow the city of which you have spoken. Can you imagine the gall and the audacity? God is sending, it'd be like Scott O'Grady on the ground and they send a helicopter and he says, oh, I really wish you'd have sent an airplane. What? First of all, I got to drag you out of the city by the hand because you're standing there going, And then when I get out and I tell you where to go, it's too far. I don't think I can get all the way over there. Like I kind of got a limp, Can I go over there? You understand, God has patience with our imperfection. The Bible says he remembers what? That we are dust. The meaning is you ain't got to be perfect. You got to be willing. And even though sometimes we stall, even though we sometimes get afraid, even though sometimes we're not exactly perfect at it, even though they have to drag him out of the city by his hand, even though like he negotiates of all things for where he can go to safety, the Bible still calls him righteous Lot. Righteousness doesn't equal perfection. Now, that's not an excuse. That doesn't mean you get away with everything. It doesn't mean that, it's okay. I don't think Lot was trying to be difficult here, but I imagine he's pretty scared. Hey, I want you to run all the way those mountains. And, me at my size, I'd be like, what if I run out of air before I get there? I get it. I get why he's negotiating. But God's already sent an angel to him and drug him out of the city and rescued him. Do you really think he's going to let him run out of air while he's running to the mountains before? No. But he worked with his feebleness. He worked with his frailness. You think about Moses. Moses, I want you to lead my people. Me? Yes, you. I don't talk real good. Well, that's okay. I made your mouth. Your brother, he talks really good. Send somebody else. Nope, I'm sending you. Like he put up with his feebleness and his frailness. And Moses still did what was right, for the most part. He didn't have to be perfect either. God's patient with our imperfection. But lastly, now this is the cool part. Verse 22. Escape there quickly, for I can do nothing till you arrive there. Therefore, the name of the city was called Zoar. Did you catch what the angel just told him? This one angel who has the ability to call down fire and destruction and destroy a place, this angel who, we read in the Bible that one angel killed 186,000 Assyrians in the night. This angel, who is one of the most powerful beings that we have ever seen in our life, has been constrained by the Heavenly Father and says, I can't pull the trigger till you get to safety. Think about that. God will hold back. What did he do for his people in the Red Sea? The mighty wind came and it came and it held the waters back. And they walked across on dry land. God will hold back an imaginable amount of things. I imagine this angel kind of between the physical world and the spiritual world, and he's got his hand, he's holding back this destruction and says, go on. I can't do what I'm supposed to do until you get over there. God was willing to do that for one person. Just one. How many times has he held back for me? How many times has he held back for you? Chaos and evil. You think about Jesus talking to Peter. Peter, the Lord has demanded to have you that he might sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for you that your faith not fail. And when you turn again, when you return, strengthen your brethren. Jesus prayed just for him. And in John 17, around verse 20 and 21, Jesus prays for you. And he prays for me. He's willing to hold destruction back for just one. Just one to give us enough time to get to safety. So you look at all this and we go back to where we began in 2 Peter. 2 Peter 2, for if God did not spare angels when they sinned, but cast them into hell and committed them chains of gloomy darkness to be kept until the judgment, if he did not spare the ancient world, but preserved Noah, a herald of righteousness with 7 others, when he brought a flood upon the world of the ungodly, if by turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah to ashes, condemned them to extinction, making them as an example of what is going to happen to the ungodly, and if he rescued righteous Lot, greatly distressed by the sensual conduct of the wicked, for as that righteous man lived among them day after day, he was tormenting his righteous soul over their lawless deeds that he saw and he heard. then the Lord knows how to rescue the godly from trials and to keep the unrighteous under punishment until the day of judgment, and especially those who indulge in lust of defiling passion and despise authority, bold and willful. They do not tremble as they blaspheme the glorious ones. You see, God is willing to rescue just one, but I have to be rescuable. You understand what I'm saying there? Lot's wife didn't make it. You keep reading in this text, and you see that they make it all the way into the city, and then she looked back. This morning we talked about putting your hand to the plow and then looking back. God will rescue just one, but you have to be rescuable. And I don't know what your need is this morning. I don't know if you need to be rescued. I don't know if you need to rescue somebody else. I don't know if you're struggling to hang on. I don't know if you need to become a Christian. I don't know, but I do know that you have a God that loves you. You're surrounded by God's people who love you. And if we can help you, you can come down front. You can go to the shepherd's room. You can catch somebody in the parking lot. I don't know what the response to your invitation is, but don't leave here today without help if you need it. Come sing to us.